I have a shocking segment for everybody here. We have some real good news, believe it or not. Take a look. This is from Reuters. Biden to sign executive order boosting rights of 200,000 construction workers. U.S. President Joe Biden will sign an executive order on Friday requiring project labor agreements in federal construction projects over $35 million, a potential boost to workers and unions that negotiate these deals, and a shift the administration says will speed up building times. The order will apply to $262 billion in federal construction and contracting and impact nearly 200,000 workers, the White House said late on Thursday, confirming news first reported by Reuters. Now, before I give you more specifics, let me just say this. I am astonished at how terrible Democrats are at politics because this is something he's doing that's good. And I never heard him say anything about it, and the media never covered it. And certainly no Democrats are hitting the Sunday shows and going all in on this narrative. Like, he's boosting construction workers' pay. Isn't that awesome? They just don't do it. They have no idea what they're doing. They have no idea what they're doing with politics. We covered a story on the last show, or actually two stories in one on the last show. There's a new Intel semiconductor microchip factory that's being built. There's a new GM, electric vehicle and electric battery factory that's being built. This is in, I think it's Ohio for the semiconductor factory and Michigan for the new GM factories, plural, I believe. And they're going to create thousands of jobs. And this is like the American manufacturing roaring back, because what happened is these corporations realized, hey, maybe it is in our material interest, and maybe it's even good for our bottom line to not be so dependent on China and not be so dependent on foreign countries, because then when we have a global pandemic and the ports get clogged, we're screwed. And there's people can't get the materials they need to build cars. And so they're realizing, well, shit, maybe if we pay workers here a decent wage as opposed to paying pennies on the dollar overseas, maybe in the long run it actually will be more profitable for us, because when we control the supply line from here, we'll be better off. We'll be better off. You won't have to worry about some global cataclysmic event ruining the supply chain and destroying the economy and ruining our bottom line. So, but the Democrats don't talk about it. Nobody went out there and talked about it. The only one I saw was Ro Khanna. But no other Democrat talked about it. No other media outlets covered it. Biden didn't say a goddamn word about it, or if he did, it was in a one-off speech. And so if Trump did this, he would be out there bright. He would have like a 10-tweet thread where he talks about how wonderful he is, and he sucks himself off, and he's like, we're doing a tremendous job, an amazing job, raising pay for construction workers. I am delivering on the MAGA agenda. But these guys, nothing. Crickets. Silence. Bupkis. So anyway, let me give you more information. Project labor agreements are collective bargaining agreements between building trade unions and contractors which set wages, employment conditions, and dispute resolution on specific projects. Democratic presidents in the past have typically supported applying such agreements to massive U.S. federal contracting budget, while Republican presidents have rescinded them. That's an important point. So when the Democrats get in, they're like, let's pay construction workers more. The Republicans get in, they're like, let's pay them less. Again, I'm just describing empirically what's gone on, okay? The order, which will go into effect immediately, comes on the heels of a $1 trillion infrastructure bill signed into law by Biden that invests in the country's roads, ports, and bridges. Much of that money will flow through federal agencies to states and local governments. The new executive order excludes projects funded by grants to non-federal agencies, a senior administration official said, adding that will make up for a bulk of the projects under the bill, but it will apply to billions of other federal spending on waterways, military bases, and other areas. So that's the only problem with this. And since it's the Democrats, of course, they can't just unequivocally do a good thing. There has to be caveats and nuances to it, but that part's bullshit. So in other words, I'll repeat that one more time. Much of the money will flow through federal agencies to states and local governments. The new executive order excludes projects funded by grants to non-federal agencies. So if you're contracting with a private company, this doesn't apply there, a senior administration official said, adding that will make up for a bulk of the projects under the bill, but it will apply billions of other federal spending on waterways, military bases, and other areas. So when the federal government is directly doing it, that's where you're going to have this effect. When they're directly doing it and it's a project over $35 million, so for big projects, they're doing it. Look, what this shows is Biden has the ability, he has the capacity with the power of his office to just snap his fingers, write his name, and make working conditions better for countless people. And he doesn't do it nearly as much as he should. So the other good executive order he signed on this front was a $15 minimum wage for all federal employees, but also even private companies that contract with the federal government need to pay a $15 minimum wage. So on that one, he was like, no, this applies to private companies too. This one, he didn't go that far. I wonder who lobbied against that. But look, he can and he should make it for the private companies too that contract with the federal government. And I'm sure there's aspects of the PRO Act, which is phenomenal pro-union legislation, that he can implement through executive order. David Dane of the American Prospect wrote a phenomenal article of, look, here's all the things Biden can do through executive order, where it's not even really debatable. You can cite the legal statutes that are already there that give him the right to do certain things. And it's on virtually every front. He can do stuff through executive order. That's now his only path to being even moderately successful as a president, is to break out that executive order pen, go all in, and dare the right to come after him and try to slap down some of this stuff. Go ahead. I dare you. I, President Joe Biden, am raising the wages for 200,000 construction workers. I dare the Republicans to take me to court over this. Be my guest. Because then I get to clonk you over the head every time I open my mouth about how you literally want to pay construction workers less because you don't care about working people. So that's the move. I don't think they'll actually do it, and I don't think Biden will, unleash a slew of awesome executive orders, but this is a start, and you got to give credit where credit is due if you're willing to be fair-minded and objective. Ever since Adpocalypse, when YouTube defunded all independent news and politics overnight, we haven't trusted them. We know they can pull the rug out from underneath us at any time. If you enjoy this content, please consider tipping $1 or $2 per month on the Secular Talk Patreon. Link in the video description box below. Thanks for your support.